Welcome to the Alaska Weather Show. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service on this last day of April 30th, 2022. Welcome aboard here on a Saturday evening. If you'd like additional weather information on top of what I provide, you can go to weather.gov and online. It's a point-and-click map that allows you to interact for different locations across the country. Hawaii and Alaska are there to the lower left. You get the latest forecast, watches, warnings, advisories, and much more. This Saturday afternoon, we have a tornado watch that extends from southern Wisconsin across Illinois into southeast Missouri, severe thunderstorm watch across Arkansas down into northwest Louisiana, East Texas, and then another area of high fire danger. Red flag warnings cover southern Nevada around Las Vegas, much of Arizona, and into New Mexico, where we have some extremely high fire danger due to very low humidity, warm temperatures, and windy conditions. Well, here in Alaska, we continue to see significant snowmelt occurring across the interior, centered on the Yukon River Valley, with temperatures in the 50s, even some isolated 60-degree readings anticipated here through the weekend. I want to remind people there along the rivers, river ice safety really important as breakup approaches. That ice is becoming more and more unstable, and unfortunately I have to report we did lose someone through the ice yesterday on a snow machine around Pilot Station there in the west side of the state on the Yukon River. So please be extremely careful. Now's the time to kind of review your safety plan for flooding. If you live along the rivers, it's a good time to think about moving your property that could be impacted by high water and or moving ice. Also, for the backcountry, avalanche danger remains high through the Chugach Mountains through this weekend, so be aware of that if you are going to be getting out given these milder temperatures. Though it does look like we could see a bit of a cooling trend. Temperatures may trend a bit below normal here as we get past into the first full week there of May, the 5th between the 15th, so keep that in mind. That could potentially at least slow the breakup down slightly, but nevertheless, remain alert if you live along any of the major river systems. Now in the far northwest, we're watching a cold front come in along the Arctic northwest coast up there around Point Hope, lowering ceilings. A little virga. Virga is precipitation that either evaporates or sublimates before reaching the ground. And temperatures are going to be cooling. They're 25 now, but only in the teens tomorrow. Kodiak is seeing light rain, fog, and wind with 40 degrees. We have an area of low pressure that will be coming up just east of Kodiak Island as we go into Sunday. So right now we are getting some gale force winds there, especially the entrance of Cook Inlet. There could even be a few storm force gusts as that system takes shape. Well, yesterday after work, I went home, got the mail, and I heard a sound, music to my ears, sign of spring. The migrating birds, sandhill cranes, are returning. And if you look at the center of that image I snapped with my cell phone, you'll see a few dots. There were 10 birds, and when I zoom on in, I put a little highlight around there, the circle. There were 10 sandhill cranes flying very high up, probably at least a couple thousand feet aloft. And they are known to fly rather high. And did you know a sandhill crane can fly as far as 350 miles in a single day? That's quite amazing. Well, looking at the satellite imagery, we have clouds expanding throughout the Gulf as that low pressure moves in with the occluded front. That's going to spread more rain into the Panhandle, especially for Sunday. Areas of the Panhandle could pick up anywhere from a half to locally over an inch of rain. The 1 inch plus rainfall amounts will likely set up across the southern third. Craig, Ketchikan, Metlakatla areas could be rather breezy and wet on Sunday. We have the windy conditions this afternoon there, especially just north of Kodiak in through lower Cook Inlet. And then the cold front approaching the northwest Arctic coast is going to bring some cooler or colder temperatures there along the north slope as we go through the rest of the weekend. There's the low that's southeast of Kodiak Island this afternoon. That one is going to spin back toward Kodiak Island later tonight, early on Sunday, and gradually weaken. Another low just southwest of the central Aleutians in the North Pacific is going to ride along the central Aleutians Sunday afternoon and spread another frontal system that's going to pass just south of the Alaska Peninsula on the North Pacific side as we go into Monday. That feature will bring in the next push of precipitation, wind and rain along the Gulf Coast as we go into early next week. Some of that moisture may be lifted north with the first system into the interior that could spread a few showers scattered about there along the Yukon River by Monday. Otherwise, cooler temperatures will prevail along the North Slope and Arctic coast. So look for low temperatures Sunday morning to stay above freezing across south central and the Panhandle, especially the Panhandle. Many readings not getting below 40 there along the inner outer channels. Back toward the mainland, we could see some areas dip near freezing or a bit below there, Copper River Basin and say up toward McGrath. But any sun Sunday could help push temperatures above 50 again. Talkeetna 55, 56 at McGrath. But with the thickening cloud cover, that will limit temperatures there, 40s to near 50 across much of the Panhandle Sunday afternoon, as it will be breezy and cooler. Lows again with the cloud cover along the Gulf Coast will stay above freezing, and temperatures on Monday will generally be 40s along the coast with a few lower 50s as we get further inland where the clouds and precipitation are not occurring or as thick. Across the far north, we're looking at lows generally just above 10 degrees along the Arctic coast, but staying in the teens to 20s there Sunday afternoon. But look at the Yukon River, many 50s, even some lower 60s, could hit 61, 62 degrees there at Fairbanks and up there toward the Yukon Flats at Fort Yukon. Lows Monday morning, single digits, just above zero there, Point Lay on up toward Wainwright. And then Monday afternoon, coldest readings there will be in the northwest, generally 15 to 20 degrees for highs, but still 50 to near 60 degrees possible along and south the Yukon River Monday afternoon. Across the southwest Sunday morning, lows generally be above freezing. There are going to be clouds increasing through this region, so the cloud cover acts as a blanket. Generally, temperatures mid-30s as you extend out along the Alaska Peninsula and the Aleutians. Sunday afternoon, highs will be in the lower mid-40s throughout the Aleutians, and then as we get up the Yukon and Kuskokwim River basins, we could see temperatures still getting into the 50s. For Monday morning, we anticipate lows across much of the region, the southwest interior, as well as down along the Alaska Peninsula and Aleutian, to generally stay in the mid-30s or so, mid-upper 30s. That would be above freezing. Cooler temperatures to the north, Nome 27, 21 at Savunga rather, there on St. Lawrence Island. And temperatures come Monday afternoon should still manage to make it above 50 as you go up the Yukon and Kuskokwim basins. 55 perhaps there at McGrath will be one of the warmer spots. Beneath the cloud cover and showers, temperatures generally confined to the 40s, especially as we extend out along the Alaska Peninsula. And a quick check of the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook provided by the Climate Prediction Center of the National Weather Service. May 6th through the 10th, temperatures are expected to average below normal across the state, especially southeast and in through the Panhandle. So that may provide a little cooler temperatures to slow down the snow melt a bit, and precipitation is forecast to average above normal May 6th through the 10th over the east side of the state, centered around Fairbanks and Northway down into portions of the Panhandle.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Here's your aviation weather. If you have a flight planned Sunday into Monday, a couple areas of low pressure to watch. The main one sitting there near Kodiak Island with a frontal system arcing ahead of it. That will create widespread IFR conditions there in the Gulf. Also some IFR there in the northwest along the west side of the Seward Peninsula in St. Lawrence. There is a trough of low pressure, weak low up there along the Arctic coast that'll cause IFR conditions to expand along the north slope and the eastern half of the Brooks Range. And then a broad area of IFR conditions there across the Aleutians. Another low that'll be riding through the central Aleutians on Sunday. That'll spread IFR conditions further east into the eastern Aleutians, tip of the Alaska Peninsula. Meanwhile, the frontal band will expand IFR conditions along the Gulf Coast, including the outer coastal areas of the Panhandle, and then IFR conditions there across the northern Arctic coast and North Slope will persist into Monday morning in the far north. We will see IFR conditions there around Yakutat into the northern Panhandle and even intercoastal mountains of the Panhandle, and then a broad area of IFR conditions with that other low that's going to be riding just south of the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula into the North Pacific. We expect widespread IFR conditions, and by Monday afternoon, that will expand further northeastward to encompass much of the Gulf Coast region, extending back to just off the southwest coast and southeast Bering. And still, we expect IFR conditions to continue across the eastern Brooks Range, eastern half of the North Slope, and Arctic coast. Anaktuvuk Pass on Sunday will see VFR conditions give way to IFR conditions, especially along the north entrance with that trough that'll be working its way in there across the North Slope. Same thing, Atigun Pass VFR in the morning giving way to IFR, especially along the north entrance. Further south and west, Lake Clark and Merrill start out Sunday with MVFR but give way to VFR conditions. Rainy Pass also MVFR in the morning giving way to VFR later morning and early afternoon. And Windy Pass eastward from the central Alaska range eastward to the Alcan border, we expect VFR conditions, including Isabel and Mentasta. Further south and west, Tanita will see MVFR conditions from a little moisture that's crept up from the Gulf, give way to VFR conditions by midday Sunday. Portage is going to be a split. VFR conditions are expected along the west entrance throughout the day Sunday, but the east entrance could see MVFR conditions become IFR as those IFR conditions expand from off of the Gulf. And finally, Sunday in the northern panhandle, we expect VFR conditions early Sunday giving way to MVFR conditions at Chilkoot and White up there in the far northern part of the panhandle. Freezing levels do bump up to around and over 4,000 feet over northeastern parts of the mainland along the Alcan border, including the Yukon Flats. Much of the mainland will see freezing levels above 2,000 feet, and again, also up around 4,000 feet there, centered on the panhandle. The greatest threat for icing, considerable moderate icing, is possible in association with that low that sits just east of Kodiak Island with the frontal system arcing ahead of it. So areas around Kodiak Island, east side of the Kenai, Prince William Sound, eastward through a good chunk of the panhandle, including Haida Gwaii, will see the potential for moderate icing between 6,000 and 16,000 feet, as well as 5,000 and 13,000 feet, and then back out toward the Aleutians with that other low, 4,000 to 12,000 feet possible there central into the eastern Aleutians. Upper level jet stream winds and anticyclonically curved jet max of 135 to 45 knots south of Kodiak Island there in the North Pacific. 9,000 feet, we see that reflected, one low circulation there near Kodiak Island and the other one back toward the central Aleutians, and then bringing it down to 3,000 feet. Winds to 40 knots out of the northeast there through the Bering Strait, north side of St. Lawrence Island. And then the two low circulations continue near Kodiak Island, the other one there pushing toward the eastern Aleutians. And that will translate to the threat of some considerable moderate turbulence along the Gulf Coast, encompassing Cook Inlet back into the west side of the Alaska Range, with isolated severe turbulence possible from areas east side of Prince William Sound along the north central Gulf Coast between the surface and 6,000 feet, and the potential for some low-level wind shear as that frontal system just kind of lifts a bit northward. And it will also be in the process of weakening, but nevertheless, that low-level wind shear could be encountered as you transition through lower levels of the first 4,000 feet. And then also we expect some turbulence out there across the Alaska Peninsula, southwest of Kodiak Island, surface to 4,000 feet. And then on the backside of that low that'll be moving through the central Aleutians, the western Aleutians could see turbulence from the surface to 3,000 feet during the day on Sunday.
Ahoy, Cadets, and welcome to the Okeanos Explorer. I'm Debbie, and I'm an ocean explorer. I work for NOAA, which stands for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Together with many other people, I work on this ship, and we explore the deep sea. How do we do that? Let's go find out.
Octonauts, let's do this. Yow!
The pressure in the ocean is so great humans can't go there, so we send a special robot. Octocadets, meet Deep Discoverer, our special robot for ocean exploration. And this is Chris. He works with Deep Discoverer. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Debbie.
Can you tell us about what Deep Discoverer does?
Sure. So this is Deep Discoverer, and today we're going to take Deep Discoverer up to 4 miles down to the ocean floor so you can see what Deep Discoverer sees.
And how do we do that?
We do that by using these powerful cameras and powerful lights.
That's neat. And what is that?
And this is our manipulator arm, and we use this arm to take biological and geological samples that we store up front in these boxes, and so that we can bring them to the surface so scientists can analyze them.
Wow, isn't that cool, Octocadets? Wow! Now that we know more about the special robot that explores the seafloor, let's find out more about the ship. Octocadets, let's do this. Now let's find out what we do with D2's video. Come along. This is the control room. A lot of things about D2 happen in here. Behind me you see the pilots. They steer D2 on the seafloor. And over here we have scientists. Hi Steve and Stacy.
Hi, this is Steve and I'm Stacy and we are marine biologists.
Can you tell us about the work you do here?
We actually look at the videos collected by the robots and we try to identify organisms along with other scientists on the shore.
What are you looking at right now?
We're actually looking at a sea star.
That's so awesome, thank you. Now let's look at how we make maps of the seafloor.
Excellent, Quasi. A good map helps you to get to places you've never been.
We also have a scientist on board who makes maps of the seafloor. Hi Derek.
Hi Debbie.
Can you tell us about your work?
Sure. My job on the ship is to make maps of the ocean floor. We do this by sending sound from the bottom of the ship. It echoes off the seafloor and comes back to the ship. And then from that, we can make maps like this. So this is what it would look like if you were able to drain the water out of the ocean and actually see what the landscape looked like down there. We use these maps to give the vehicles a place to dive, and they explore further, just like octonauts do.
Status report, Dashi.
We're right on course, Captain.
So earlier we learned that D2 picks things up from the seafloor with his manipulator arm. Let's find out what we do with those samples. This is the wet lab, and Megan spends a lot of time here. Megan, can you tell us about your work?
I am the sample data manager, so when the ROV comes up, we go out and we collect the samples from the ROV and we bring them in here. And we try to record as much information about them as possible, everything from the details about what they look like to the environment conditions where they were found. How cold was it, for example? Then we come in and we take imagery using this microscope, and we take pictures using this camera as well. And then after we get all the pictures taken and we're ready, we prepare them for shipping to other scientists and museums so more science can be done, such as the squat lobster, this cup coral as well.
And what is that?
This is a piece of coral, or several pieces of coral, that we think might actually be a new species. So we are going to send it out for a comparison to existing species to see if we discovered something new.
Wow, you have a really cool job.
Thank you.
Fascinating. I've read about this, but I've never actually seen it.
An important part of how we explore the ocean is keeping in touch with scientists and octocadets on shore. Let's go see how we do that. Rosemary, could you tell the octocadets a little about what that dish does?
Sure. My name is Lieutenant Rosemary Abbott. I'm the operations officer aboard the Okeanos Explorer, and that is our VSAT. It stands for Very Small Aperture Terminal, and inside that satellite dome is a very powerful dish antenna that allows us to communicate with shore and share video in real time. The technology is called telepresence.
Wow, that is so interesting. Thank you, Rosemary. Now I'm getting really hungry. Let's go to the kitchen and talk about food. This is the ship's kitchen, also known as the galley. And this is Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Debbie.
Michael is the chief steward on this ship, and he keeps 49 people fed for 3 weeks at a time. Michael, how do you do that?
With a lot of care and with the help of 3 crew members. I have myself, the chief steward, a chief cook, and a second cook. and we just do it with a lot of love and care and make sure that everybody's happy and well fed. We use up to 150 dozen eggs per trip, up to 100 gallons of milk, a lot of veggies and fruits, a lot of snacks. Everybody's very pleased with what we usually put out. We also make sure that we do it in a loving way, in a sanitary way, in a safe way that keeps everybody from getting any tummy aches.
I'm about to enter the ship's bridge. It's like the Octopod's headquarters.
Octonauts to the HQ.
Ahoy, Captain.
Ahoy, Debbie.
Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Octocadets, meet Eric Johnson, the commander of the ship. Eric, can you tell us about what you do up here?
Absolutely. Hello, Octocadets. My name's Eric Johnson. I'm an O Corps officer, and I'm the captain of the Okeanos Explorer. Welcome to my office. This is where we drive the ship. This is where we control the operations. We run the propellers that are underneath us in the back to the wheel up here at the front, which is where we steer. It's a pretty cool job. It's very exciting, and it's pretty beautiful around here as well.
So, Octocadets, now you know a little bit about the ship and how we explore the deep sea. I hope you enjoyed our time together. I'll see you next time.
Debbie, safety first.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back to our marine weather segment and looking at the sea ice edge. Well, pretty much ice-free now south of St. Lawrence and Nunavik Islands. We still have shore-fast ice along areas of the southwest from the lower Kuskokwim Delta on up to the Yukon Delta and around Norton Sound, but the ice will continue to break up and melt across those regions. Further north, the ice still pretty much in place. We're going to get a little push of colder air coming in across the northwest coast. It'll pinch off some of the plinias that have opened up. We expect winds to accelerate a bit out of the north-northwest down through the Bering Strait, so that could also cause some further shifting of the ice there on the north side of St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait. Looking at the southeast panhandle for Sunday, winds will be out of the southeast in the inner channels, 25 to 30 knots, Petersburg down to Ketchikan, Metlakatla, gust even up to 40 knots, waves 5 to as high as 10 feet there around Dixon Entrance. More variable winds ahead of a frontal system, only 5-10 knots with 2-foot waves there in Lynn Canal. But along the outer Gulf Coast, we expect winds to pick up from the southeast, especially Sitka, northwestward up toward Yakutat, 35-knot winds, waves 15 to 18 feet. Monday, winds across the inner channels, 15 to 20 knots, some gust to 35 knots there in Lynn Canal, waves 3, maybe 4 feet there through Lynn Canal. The outer coast winds 25-30 knots south of Sitka, but increasing to 35 to 45 knot gales, especially west of Yakutat. Waves they are building 14 to 17 feet. Across the northwest Gulf on Sunday, winds will be out of the east 30 knots off the Kenai and Kodiak. However, 40 to 45 knot gales through middle and lower Cook Inlet with waves 10 to 12 feet. On Monday, that core of stronger winds kind of shifts over up across the north central Gulf Coast. South of Cordova, 45 knot southeasterly gales, 35 knot gales, 9-foot waves there in through Prince William Sound, and 30 knot winds out of the northeast with 6 to 9-foot waves from the middle and lower Cook Inlet. And then across Kodiak Island, we'll have that low pressure in vicinity. Winds northerly 35 knots through Shelikof Strait. Offshore, though, 35 to 40 knot gales on the North Pacific side. Lighter winds 15 to 20 knots out of the north and east there through Bristol Bay down to north of Cold Bay. And then on Monday, widespread winds out of the northeast and north 20 to 25 knots. Waves 10 to 15 feet on the North Pacific side, around 4 feet there, Bristol Bay, 11 feet north of Cold Bay. Throughout the Aleutian chain Sunday, a low pressure center will be moving between Atka and Nikolsky. Ahead of it, 25 to 30 knot south and southeasterly winds turning around to the northwest and then west on the North Pacific side. As we go into Monday, across the region in the wake of that low, winds will be more northwesterly at 25 to 30 knots, waves 15 to 19 feet on the North Pacific side, and generally 10 to 12 feet on the Bering side. Across the southwest coast areas of the eastern Bering, winds will be out of the northeast at around 25 to 30 knots between St. Lawrence and Nunavik Islands. Lesser so, maybe 20 knots with 5-foot waves, St. Paul and St. George. On Monday, that low pressure sitting back toward Kodiak Island will cause more northerly winds across much of the region, as high as 30 knots south of St. Lawrence through Nunavik Island, St. Paul, and St. George, with waves anywhere from 6 to as high as 10 feet in the vicinity of St. Paul and St. George. And then along the Arctic coast, there'll be a cold front working its way in through the northwest coast, shifting winds to the north and northwest, 15 knots there. Utqiagvik down through Cape Lisburne, but accelerating to 30 knots through the Bering Strait, which will help to move some of that ice again. And then on Monday, winds will generally be out of the north along the far Arctic coast at 10 knots, but on the order of 25 to 30 knots through the lower Chukchi Sea, especially south of Point Hope, and passing through the Bering Strait, thus keeping the potential for that ice movement there through the Bering Strait and in and around St. Lawrence Island and Norton Sounds. Low pressure late tonight into early Sunday morning, located just east of the Kenai. That low will kind of split and weaken during the day on Sunday as the next low works its way through the central into the eastern Aleutians, and then low pressure will be situated southwest of Kodiak Island come Monday morning. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. I'll be back again Sunday evening.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.